Hello students, this is Neeta Choksi. This video is of standard 10th, subject English. Now, behind first chapter there are two poems, Dust of Snow and Fire and Ice. These two poems are in your textbook First Flight. It is included in your first chapter only. So first we are going to start with the first poem, Dust of Snow by Robert Frost. Robert Frost, he was an American poet and playwright. His work was initially published in England before it was published in America. He was known for his realistic depiction of rural life. He died in January 29, 1963. At the age of 88 years in Boston. If we talk about his notable works, then he wrote books named A Boy's Will and North of Boston, which was very famous. He was also awarded for Pulitzer Prize for Poetry, Congressional Gold Medal. Now, Dust of Snow. This is a beautiful poem which tells that even a single movement has a large significance. The poet Robert Frost has mentioned crow and hemlock tree in this poem. Crow, it signifies his depressive and sorrowful mood. In hemlock tree is a poisonous tree. And both these signify that the poet was not in a good mood, and so he describes that the dark, depressive and the bitter side of nature to present his similar mood. Now here I present the poem Dust of Snow by Robert Frost. See, this is a very small poem. First I'll read and then I'll explain y'all. The way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree, has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. Okay, now see children, in this poem, the poet is talking about a winter's day when all the tree tops it were covered with snowflakes. See, I'll show you all image. See this way. The poet says that once he was sitting under a hemlock tree. Now see here children, hemlock tree, it is a poisonous tree. And this hemlock tree, it signifies negativity or sadness in this poem. And thus this tree, it cannot be associated with anything positive. Now the poet, he saw a crow who came and sat on this hemlock tree suddenly. And because of this sudden motion, the snowflakes from the top of the tree fell on poet like rain showers. The snowflakes, they were very light and small, tiny. The poet thought that they looked like white dust particles. Now see children, this simple action changed poet's mood. He realized that he had just wasted a part of his day in sorrow and bad mood. Previously, while he was sitting under a hemlock tree, he was not at all in a good mood. But as soon as the snowflakes it fell on poet, he realized that he has just wasted a part of his day in grief and sorrow. The soft and cold touch of snow changed the poet's mood from sad to happy. He felt very much relaxed and refreshed. The shower of snowflakes falling on him all of a sudden cheered his heart. So, in this way, a simple movement, it proves to be a very significant and saves the rest of the day of poet from being wasted. It made him feel that the day had not been a complete waste. At least some part of that day had been pleasant. So, at the end of the poem, the poet feels relaxed and thankful to the nature for saving his day from being wasted. So, this is a small poem with a very little explanation, children. So, now we'll discuss figures of speech over here. First, see, I'll tell you a figure of speech and then I'll give explanation of that figure of speech and then I'll explain you the lines given in the poem. Okay, now see, first figure of speech is metaphor. What is metaphor? It is an indirect comparison between two unlike objects where comparison is taken for granted without using like or as. Though there is a comparison, then too the word like and as are not used. Okay, now if I'll give you an example of metaphor, I am a black ocean leaping and wide. Now see, here indirect comparison is made between a person and a black ocean without using like or as. Now if we talk about this poem, here the poet compares the falling snowflakes with the dust. Now see, children, here dust, it signifies poet's mood, that is the mood which it changed from bad to good. So comparison is made between the snowflakes and the dust, and so it is a metaphor. Then second figure of speech is alliteration. What is alliteration? When a single alphabet, when it is repeated in a sentence, when it is the very first alphabet of a word, when it is repeated more than once, it is known as alliteration. Now if we talk about this poem, then see the fifth line, has given my heart. So here H is repeated. H is the first alphabet of a word and it is repeated twice. Another sentence, seventh sentence, and save some part. Here S is repeated more than once. So it is alliteration. Okay, now moving forward, third figure of speech, third and last figure of speech, it is synecdoche. Synecdoche, what is a synecdoche? When any part, it stands for whole, or when a whole of a thing, it stands for a part to give poetic effect, it is known as synecdoche. Now if we talk about this poem, here synecdoche is used where the poet said his heart undergone a change in mood which actually represented his entire personality, and so it is known as synecdoche. Now if we talk about the rhyming words, see children, you all can see in first and third line, crow, snow. Then mood, rude. Hurt and part. These are the rhyming words. So this is the end of the poem, Dust of Snow. Now moving forward to another poem which is included in the first chapter only, that is Fire and Ice. Now see children, Fire and Ice. It is also written by Robert Frost. So already I have given you all introduction. So there is no need to again repeat the same thing. You all can just go through that introduction. Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice is a short poem which is written by famous poet and playwright Robert Frost. See children, first I'll read the poem and then I'll explain. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. Okay, now this poem, the poet refers to two predictions of how the world will end. That means there are two different predictions of how the world is going to end. Some say it will end in fire, while the others say it will end in ice. Now see children, there are many ideas about how the world will end. This is a fact that as the earth has originated, it will also end one day. So do you think the world will end someday? Have you ever thought what would happen if the sun got so hot that it could eventually burst or explode? Unfortunately, the world is going to end one day and there is nothing that we can do about it. There are many ideas as to how it will end, but one can't say surely. So here in this poem, according to poet, fire, it stands for the qualities, human qualities like desire, greed or lust. These are the things, the more you try to satisfy them, the more they will grow, and there is no end to it. They spread rapidly like fire, which destroys your whole life. One becomes selfish and at times cruel also to satisfy their need. On the other hand, ice. If we talk about ice, it stands for hatred, coldness and rigidity. That is one who is very stubborn, who doesn't listen to anybody. That is rigidity. One becomes insensitive and indifferent towards the feeling of the others. The poet says that both fire and ice are growing with such a rapid speed that the world soon will perish either way, maybe in fire or in ice. So here the poet tries to warn people against the two greatest problem which is faced by humanity and the consequences of human vices with an increased effectiveness. So this is the end of your explanation of the poem Fire and Ice. So now we'll move to figures of speech. See children, here in this poem there are 3 figures of speech. First is alliteration, then paradox and repetition. First, alliteration. Again, what is alliteration? When any of the alphabet consonant sound is repeated more than once in a sentence, at that time it is known as alliteration. See children, can you all see 1, 2, 3, fourth line? I hold with those who favor fire. Now in this, F is repeated more than once, and so we can say that figure of speech alliteration is present in this sentence. Moving on to paradox. What is paradox? What is the definition of paradox? Paradox means a true statement but which seems to us as untrue. See the fifth line. But if it had to perish twice. This is a kind of paradox. Why? Because this is a true statement but it seems as it is untrue. Why? I'll give you the reason. See children. Poet says that if the world is not destroyed completely by fire, that is, fire here symbolizes for human desire or lust, then it will be destroyed by the ice. And ice, what does it stand for? Hatred. So in this way, the world is going to completely perish, or we can say vanish or destroy twice. According to the poet, the world will end due to fire, which symbolizes greed. But if the world had to end twice, then it will be due to the hatred, symbolized by ice. The poet feels that there is enough hatred in the world that is spreading among the people, and this hatred, it will end the world one day. Okay, thank you children. See, if you all like my explanation, then kindly like, subscribe and share. And